black screen. No music, just the faint sound of metal being struck in the distance. Clang, clang. A slow mechanical heartbeat begins to rise. Then, a spark. Orange light explodes across the darkness as welding arcs cut through thick steel. Voice low, calm, controlled. Some vehicles are built for comfort. Another spark, louder this time. Some are built for speed. Heavy steel plates slam onto a workbench. Dust rises. But once in a while, something is built for survival. Cut to slow motion. Molten sparks rain like fireflies inside a massive industrial workshop. Thick armor plates, far thicker than anything seen on a normal car, are lowered by a crane. The metal groans under its own weight. The air feels heavy, mechanical, serious. This isn't a luxury sedan. Hammer strikes echo. This isn't a sports car.
Look how big it is!
Hydraulic
Keep
presses
recording,
compress
boys. This is
steel
history.
with terrifying
closer.
force. This is a machine engineered to take a hit and keep moving. Low-angle shot. A gigantic armored chassis sits alone under spotlight. Wide. Aggressive. Almost tank-like. Even unfinished, it looks unstoppable. In a quiet workshop in Zimbabwe, far from the billion-dollar factories of Detroit or Berlin, Maxwell Chikumbutso began building something the world never expected. Camera glides across the frame. Reinforced doors. Bullet-resisting glass thicker than a hand. Layered composite armor. Bolts the size of thumbs locking everything into place. Not just another vehicle. Pause. But a civilian armored giant. Deep bass rises slowly. A bulletproof beast that ordinary people can actually buy. Close up. Sparks dance across thick steel as it's welded shut. While most armored vehicles cost governments millions, Maxwell had a different idea. Cut to blueprint sketches spread across a metal table. Hand-drawn diagrams. Measurements. Armor layering systems. What if protection wasn't only for the powerful, but for everyone? Cinematic shots begin stacking. Steel plates being stacked like shields. Ballistic glass tested with impact rigs. Suspension springs thicker than a man's wrist. Heavy-duty tires designed to keep rolling even when shredded. This machine wasn't designed for racetracks. Metal door slams shut with a deep thud. It was designed for chaos. Cut to slow-motion simulation. Sparks, impacts, debris flying off armor. For roads where danger is unpredictable. For places where reliability means survival. Close-up of Maxwell's hands tightening bolts. Slow, precise. No flashy marketing. Click. No billion-dollar factory. Click. Just engineering and pure intention. The lights flicker on one by one. And then, the full vehicle is revealed.
Wow, look how
Massive,
big it is!
wide
Keep recording,
stance,
boys. This is history.
armored body panels.
Coming closer!
Matte steel finish. It doesn't look like a car. It looks like something that shouldn't be civilian at all. It doesn't ask for attention. Beat. It commands it. Heavy footsteps echo as engineers walk around it, looking tiny next to the machine. The doors alone weigh more than an entire motorcycle. Door opens with hydraulic hiss. The glass can stop rounds that would tear through normal vehicles like paper. Hand taps the window. Solid. Unmoving. The underbody is reinforced. Camera slides beneath. The fuel system protected. The tires built to run even when destroyed. And the frame. Slow pan across the chassis. Strong enough to carry the weight of war. The engine rumbles to life. Deep. Not loud. Just powerful. Like a sleeping animal waking up. And when this armored giant finally moved for the first time, dust swirls under the tires. Everyone in the workshop stopped. The vehicle rolls forward slowly. Heavy. Stable. Unshaken. Each movement deliberate. Confident. As if nothing on earth could push it back. And that's when Maxwell realized. The camera tightens on the headlights flicking on. This wasn't just a vehicle anymore. Long pause. It was protection made real. The giant machine approaches the massive steel doors of the workshop. The doors begin to open. Blinding sunlight pours in. Outside, an open road waits. And the armored beast keeps rolling forward. The sunlight spills across the concrete floor like liquid gold. Dust particles float in the air. The massive steel doors groan open wider. And the armored giant keeps moving. Slow, heavy, unstoppable. Each tire presses into the ground with a weight that feels permanent, like it belongs there. Outside, the world suddenly looks smaller. Normal cars pass by in the distance. Thin doors, fragile glass, lightweight frames. They look delicate, temporary.
Look how big it is!
This,
Keep recording,
voice
boys.
low,
This is history.
measured,
It's coming closer!
isn't built like them. Close-up of the tire tread rolling over scattered bolts and scrap metal. Crunch. Nothing happens. No puncture. No hesitation. Just motion. The engine hums, not screaming like a sports car, but deep, controlled, confident. Like a generator powering a city. Camera tracks alongside the vehicle. The body panels are thick, layered, industrial. You don't see curves designed for beauty. You see angles designed for defense. Steel meeting steel. Edges that deflect. Surfaces that absorb. This machine wasn't sculpted in a design studio. Cut to archival shots of sparks flying in the workshop. It was forged. A test range appears. Open land. Concrete barriers. Stacks of scrap metal. The kind of place where things are pushed until they break. But nothing here looks strong enough to break this. Engine cuts. Silence. Engineers step back. Maxwell stands still, arms folded. Watching. No excitement. Just quiet confidence. Because protection isn't a theory. Pause. It has to be proven. The vehicle accelerates. Not fast, but powerful. Like a freight train gathering force. Straight toward a wall of stacked concrete blocks. Impact. A deep metallic thud echoes across the field. Dust explodes into the air. Blocks scatter like toys. The camera shakes. Then silence. Dust slowly settles. The armored giant rolls forward untouched. Not a cracked panel. Not a bent frame. Not even hesitation. It doesn't flinch. Cut to close-up of the front grille. Solid. Unscarred. Because it wasn't built to avoid danger. Slow zoom. It was built to go through it. Next test. Ballistic glass. Thick. Layered. Almost unreal. A slow-motion shot. Impact against the surface.
Look how big it is!
The glass flexes.
Keep recording, boys. This is
Spiderweb
history.
forms,
It's coming closer!
but nothing breaks through. Inside, untouched. Silent. Safe. Where ordinary windows shatter. Camera lingers on the intact interior. This one protects. Wind howls across the test ground. The sun begins to dip lower. Orange light reflecting off the steel body. Now, the vehicle looks less like a car and more like something military, something tactical, something that doesn't belong to fear, but control. Voice softens. And here's the part nobody expected. Cut to Maxwell walking around the vehicle, running a hand across the armor. No government contract, no secret buyers, no restricted access. Beat. This wasn't built for elites. Door opens with that heavy hydraulicus again. Interior revealed. Simple, functional, durable. Not luxury, not flashy, just purpose. Maxwell designed it for civilians. Pause. For families. For business owners. For anyone who wants to drive knowing nothing on the road can intimidate them. The giant rolls onto a public highway. Regular cars slow down. People stare. Phones come out. Heads turn. Because when it passes, it doesn't look like traffic. It looks like protection on wheels. Like a moving fortress. Like safety made visible. The engine hum blends with the wind. And somewhere in the distance, another covered structure waits back at the workshop. Larger tools. Thicker steel. Blueprints still unfinished. Because Maxwell isn't done. Not even close. And if this is what he calls the first civilian armored giant, then what he's building next, makes this one look like a prototype. The highway stretches endlessly ahead. Heat waves shimmer above the asphalt. The armored giant cruises forward, steady and unmoved, like the road itself is bending around it. Cars keep their distance.
Wow, look how
not
big
out of
it
fear,
is! Keep
out of
recording,
instinct.
boys. This is
Because
history.
when something
Coming
this
closer.
heavy, this solid, this deliberate moves beside you, you feel small. Voiceover, quiet but sharp. Most vehicles are designed to protect you from accidents. Slow pan across the reinforced door hinges. Maxwell designed this one to protect you from everything else. Close up, thick ballistic glass reflecting the sky. Impact. Cut. Force. Cut. Uncertainty. The suspension compresses as the vehicle rolls over a deep pothole. No bounce. No shape. Just smooth, controlled movement. Like the road doesn't get a say. Inside, the cabin barely moves. A cup of water on the dashboard doesn't even ripple. That's the difference between a car and a machine. Drone shot from above. The armored beast looks unreal against normal traffic. Boxy. Dense. Purposeful. Everything else looks temporary. Plastic. Lightweight. Replaceable. This doesn't. This looks permanent. Like something you pass down for generations. Cut back to the workshop. Night now. Lights still on. Still working. Always working. Sparks flash again. Clang of steel. Hydraulic presses groan. Blueprints are spread across a long metal table. Thicker lines. Heavier measurements. Even larger dimensions. A young engineer whispers, "Is this bigger than the last one?" Maxwell doesn't answer. He just nods slightly. Camera glides over new components. Thicker armor sheets stacked like shields. A heavier drivetrain. Larger reinforced axles. Run-flat tires that look almost military-grade. Something massive sits under a dark tarp. Far bigger silhouette than the current vehicle. It barely fits inside the workshop. The shape alone is intimidating. Voiceover returns. But here's what makes Maxwell different. Close-up
look
of
how big it
grease-stained
is.
hands
Keep
adjusting
recording,
measurements
boys. This
manually.
is history.
It's
He
coming
doesn't build
closer.
for headlines. Bolt tighten. He builds for reality. Weld sparks explode again. For roads that aren't perfect. For places where help doesn't arrive in minutes. For people who can't afford to gamble their safety. Cut to daylight. The first armored giant pulls into a small town market. Vendors stop. Kids point. Shop owners stare. It looks like a tank casually visiting a grocery store. Door opens. Heavy. Solid. A normal person steps out. Not a soldier. Not security. Just an ordinary civilian. And that's when it hits. This isn't some restricted military prototype. Camera slowly circles the vehicle. It's something you can actually own. A small badge on the side catches the light. Simple branding. Nothing flashy. No luxury emblem. Just engineering pride. Because Maxwell believes protection shouldn't be exclusive. Beat. It should be accessible. Close-up of people running their hands across the steel body. Knocking on it. Hearing that deep, hollow-proof thud. Their expressions change. From curiosity to disbelief to realization. The engine starts again. Low rumble. Confident. The kind of sound that says, "Nothing can stop me." And as the armored giant slowly pulls away, back at the workshop, that massive covered shape shifts slightly under the tarp. A crane lowers something enormous into place. Metal screeches. Sparks rain like fireworks. The silhouette grows even larger. More aggressive. More extreme. Voiceover. Almost a whisper now. If this was the one he let civilians buy. Long pause. Then what exactly is Maxwell preparing next? The tarp flutters, just enough to reveal a glimpse of thicker armor, and tires nearly twice the size, before dropping back into shadow.
Wow, look
The
how
welding
big it is.
torches ignite
Keep recording,
again,
boys. This
brighter
is
than
history.
before,
It's coming closer.
louder than before, and the sound of steel shaping steel echoes into the night. The welding torches ignite again, brighter than before, louder than before. Steel screams as it's cut. Sparks rain like a storm of fire. The sound echoes through the empty night, bouncing off concrete walls and unfinished frames. Inside the workshop, shadows stretch long and distorted. Everything feels larger after dark, heavier, more serious. Camera slowly moves toward that covered silhouette again, bigger than anything we've seen so far. Not just wide, tall, the kind of height that blocks out light. A crane chain rattles above it. Hooks clink against thick armor plating. A new sheet of steel is lowered into place. It lands with a deep, thunderous thud that shakes the floor. Dust falls from the ceiling. Voiceover, quiet and intense. Most people stop after building something impressive. Close up. Maxwell's eyes reflecting the sparks. But Maxwell, another weld flash, doesn't stop at impressive. Hydraulic press compresses reinforced beams. He builds for inevitable. Cut to the road again. The first armored giant drives through heavy rain now. Water slams against the windshield. Wind howls. Other vehicles slow down, swerving slightly. But this machine, it doesn't drift. It doesn't shake. It just cuts forward like a ship through a storm. Headlights piercing the darkness. Untouchable, because real protection isn't tested on sunny days. Thunder rolls. It's tested when everything goes wrong. Close up. Thick wipers clearing sheets of water effortlessly. Interior stays silent. Calm. Safe. No rattles. No panic. Just control. Back to the workshop. Blueprints pinned to a wall. Camera slowly scans across handwritten notes. Reinforced frame. Dual-layer armor. Extended range.
How big it is!
Higher payload.
Keep recording, boys.
Bigger
This is
platform.
history.
It's coming
Every
closer.
word feels heavier than the last. A young engineer looks at the measurements and exhales slowly. That's not a car anymore. Another voice answers softly. That's a fortress. Maxwell remains silent, measuring, adjusting, calculating, like a chess player already 10 moves ahead. Cut to sparks again. Metal bending, bolts tightening. The tarp shifts slightly from the airflow. This time we see more. A massive wheel hub, almost shoulder height. Tread deep enough to grip rock. Suspension arms thick like construction equipment. This next machine, voiceover lowers to almost a whisper. Wasn't just built to survive the road. Pause. It was built to dominate. Meanwhile, word begins spreading. Phones recording. Clips of the first armored giant rolling through towns. People posting videos. Comments flooding in. What is that thing? Is that military? Can civilians buy this? Where do I get one? Quick flashes of screens, headlines, whispers online. Curiosity turning into demand. Because once people see protection like this, you can't unsee it. Normal vehicles suddenly feel fragile. Temporary. Disposable. But this feels permanent. Timeless. Built like something that outlives you. Cut back to Maxwell walking alone through the workshop at night. All lights off except one. He stops in front of the massive covered machine. Places his hand on the steel. Slow breath. The kind of look inventors have right before something changes everything. Voiceover returns softer now. He already proved a civilian can own a bulletproof vehicle. Beat. So, the question isn't whether he can build something bigger. Camera slowly rises,
look how
revealing
big it
an
is!
enormous shadow
Keep recording,
stretching
boys. This
across
is
the
history.
entire wall.
It's coming closer!
It's whether the world is ready for what he's about to unveil next. The tarp trembles slightly as the crane hooks tighten again. Chains clink. Metal grinds. Sparks burst brighter than ever. And somewhere beneath that cover, something massive shifts into place. Something massive shifts into place. A deep metallic rumble rolls through the workshop floor. Tools vibrate on nearby tables. Loose bolts dance and fall. Even the air feels heavier, like gravity just increased. The crane chain tightens. Hydraulics hiss. Slowly, painfully slow, the tarp begins to rise. Not fully, just enough to expose steel underneath. Thicker than before. Layered. Stacked like armor on a battleship. Voiceover, barely above a whisper. This isn't evolution anymore. Pause. This is escalation. A row of lights flicks on above the machine. One by one. Click, click, click. Each light reveals more of its silhouette. Higher ground clearance. Wider stance. Doors that look like vault doors. Glass that resembles transparent concrete. It makes the first armored giant look small. Back on the highway, The original vehicle continues its journey. It passes construction zones, potholes, rough terrain. Nothing slows it. Nothing changes its posture. It doesn't bounce. It doesn't complain. It simply moves forward like momentum itself. People film from sidewalks. Some step back instinctively as it passes, because it doesn't feel like traffic. It feels like infrastructure, like a moving wall of steel. Voiceover returns, steady and deliberate. When Maxwell built the first one, people called it excessive. Cut to slow motion of the vehicle crushing through debris on the test field. They said no civilian would ever need something as strong. Ballistic glass absorbing impact. They said it was overbuilt. Doors slamming shut with that deep, vault-like thud.
Keep
They said
recording,
it was
boys. This is
impossible to sell
history.
something like
Coming
this to
closer.
ordinary people. Beat. Camera tilts up to the massive machine still under construction. But then orders started coming in. Quick cuts. A phone ringing. Emails stacking. Blueprint copies printing. Engineers measuring again. Welding faster. More sparks. More steel. Because once fear enters people's minds, safety becomes priceless. And Maxwell understood that before anyone else. Back inside the workshop, footsteps echo. The tarp rises a little higher. We finally see part of the front end. Angular. Aggressive. Headlights narrow like eyes. It doesn't look defensive anymore. It looks dominant. Predatory. This one isn't just protection. Pause. It's presence. Maxwell walks around it slowly, inspecting every weld line, every seam, every bolt. He doesn't smile. He never does. Because to him, this isn't spectacle. It's responsibility. If it carries families, if it carries lives, failure isn't an option. Close up, he tightens one last bolt manually. Metal clicks into place. Solid. Permanent. The sound echoes, like the final lock on a vault. Outside, the first armored giant parks at the edge of a crowded market. Sunlight reflects off its steel body. Children run their hands across it. Adults knock on the panels, amazed at the thickness. Someone whispers, "It's like a tank, but you can buy it." Another voice, "How much protection do you really need to build something like this?" Cut back to the workshop. The bigger silhouette towers behind Maxwell. Twice the mass, twice the intimidation, and still unfinished. Voiceover softens again, because for Maxwell, safety isn't a luxury feature. Camera slowly pulls back, sparks lighting the darkness, chains rattling, steel bending. It's a right. The crane lifts
look
another
how big
armored
it is!
panel into place.
Keep recording, boys.
It
This is
lands
history.
with a thunderous
Coming
crash.
closer!
The sound rolls through the building like distant thunder, and the shape beneath the lights grows even larger, even heavier, even more unbelievable. As if the first armored giant was only the beginning. As if the first armored giant was only the beginning. The sparks begin to slow. One by one, the welding torches shut off. The workshop grows quiet. No more grinding. No more hammering. Just the low echo of cooling metal. Tick, 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 like a machine catching its breath. Maxwell steps back. For the first time all night still. Lights above the massive structure flicker once. Then brighten. Full power. The tarp is finally unclipped. Chains loosen. And in one smooth motion, it drops. Silence. The machine stands fully revealed. Huge. Armored. Unapologetic. Not sleek. Not decorative. Not trying to impress anyone. It simply exists with one clear purpose: survival. Thick steel body panels layered like shields. Ballistic glass reflecting the lights like crystal. Wheels taller than a man's waist. Doors shaped like vaults. Every line sharp. Every edge functional. It doesn't look like something built for showrooms. It looks like something built for reality. Voiceover. Calm and powerful. This is what happens when engineering replaces fear. Slow cinematic shots circle the vehicle. Close up, reinforced hinges. Close up, layered armor cross-section. Close up, run-flat tires. Close up, heavy-duty suspension arms. Every detail whispers the same message. Unbreakable. cut to the first armored giant parked outside at
Look
sunrise.
how big it is!
Golden
Keep
light
recording,
washes
boys. This
over
is
the
history.
It's coming
People
closer!
walking past. Normal life. Normal streets. And there it sits, blending into everyday life. Not a military convoy. Not a secret prototype. Just a civilian vehicle. Ready to be driven. Ready to be owned. Ready to protect. Voiceover continues. Maxwell didn't build a weapon. Pause. He built reassurance. Children laughing nearby. A family loading groceries into the back. Door shuts with that deep, safe-like thud. They didn't buy speed. Engine starts with a low rumble. They didn't buy luxury. Dashboard simple. Functional. They bought peace of mind. The vehicle rolls away slowly. Confident. Heavy. Unstoppable. Cut back to Maxwell watching from the workshop entrance. Sunlight hitting his face. Machines quiet behind him. For a moment, everything feels still. Complete. Voiceover softens. In a world getting louder, more uncertain, more unpredictable. Slow aerial shot rising above the town. Factories. Roads. People. Life moving forward. Sometimes the greatest innovation isn't flying cars or futuristic tech. Beat. Sometimes. Camera pulls higher. Both armored machines visible now. The first on the road, the larger one waiting inside the workshop. It's simply knowing you'll make it home safe. Long pause. The engine sound fades into the distance. Screen slowly darkens. Final words, steady and deliberate.